जय जय श्री राधे Shri Vallabhadisha Ki Jai. Sab Vaishnav ko Jai Shri Krishna. And continuing with the reading of the biographies of the 252 Vaishnavas, of disciples of Sri Gosaiji, and it is day 62 of the readings. Continuing from yesterday, which is Varta number 40, Part 1 continued. The son of a Vaishnava again became restless, thinking, "Oh, when shall I return home and recount all of this to Sri Gosaiji?" He became very restless, and so Sri Thakurji took him home. Bhav Prakash. Why? The boy had come to Vraja without telling his parents. They were always thinking of him. This is why Sri Thakurji sent him home after granting him his sight. For as long as your relatives have attachment to you and you to them, then you cannot attain entrance to the eternal Leela. Another reason is that Sri Gosaiji's words should always be shown in the world to be truthful. Therefore Sri Thakurji took that son of a Vaishnava home again. The boy arrived at where Sri Gosaiji was giving his discourse and had his sight. All the Vaishnavas were sitting there. The boy bowed down to Sri Gosaiji and took his seat there. When Sri Gosaiji had completed his discourse, he asked him where he had been for 3 days. The boy then recounted everything that had seen and done in those days. Sri Gosaiji remarked, "This vessel is small and the gift was huge, and so it could not all fit in." The next day, the son of a Vaishnava left his body and entered the eternal Leela. One should know that the land of Vraja is totally divine. Of this there is no doubt. Vaishnavas should know and respect this fact. These divine pastimes are always happening in Vraja, and with grace they can become visible. Sri Thakurji showers his grace with Sri Gosaiji's intervention. Thus concludes Varta 40, the story of one son of a Vaishnava who was an accomplished Vaishnava, to whom Sri Thakurji granted divine vision and direct contact. There is no end to his tale. Continuing with Varta number 41, the story of one poor Brahmin from Mathura. He is a devotee of Rajasi disposition. In the eternal Leela, his name is Rup Devi, and he manifests from Madhurekshana, thus becoming a form of her divine loving mood. Rupa Devi is extremely beautiful to look at. In fact, she is beauty personified. One day, Sri Thakurji praised Rupa Devi in front of Madhurekshana. She told Rupa Devi that Sri Thakurji had been praising her and that she should go to meet him. She said, What could come from such a meeting? I know nothing of such things. If there is some particular need, then he will call you." Sri Thakurji heard this, and so he asked one Sakhi named Kamadutika, Love's messenger, to go and persuade Rupa Devi to meet him, and then to bring her to him, where he was sitting. The messenger came to Rupa Devi, and Rupa Devi understood her intention. Rupa Devi set off from there. Then the messenger said, "Oh, Rupa Devi, Sri Thakurji is thinking of you, so please come quickly. He sent me to fetch you and is sitting in wait for your arrival." Rupa Devi became proud and said, "Oh, I can't come now." The messenger accused her of being too proud of her beauty. "Sri Thakurji is personally calling you. Even so you do not come. You will suffer the result of such action." Sri Thakurji has countless gopis who are always craving to meet him. Having said this, the messenger went back to Sri Thakurji and told him that Rupa Devi would not come to him. He felt very unhappy with Rupa Devi and went back into his forest bower. Rupa Devi had offended Sri Thakurji due to her pride of beauty, and it was thus that she had to fall to earth. She was born as the son of a poor Brahmin family in Mathura. When he was 14, his father died. He began to beg to survive. At one time, Sri Gosaiji was living in Mathura. As the boy was going round begging, he arrived at Sri Gosaiji's camp. Seeing his poverty, Sri Gosaiji fed him Mahaprasad with his own hands. The boy partook of the prasad, and as he did so, his intelligence was purified. The next day, the boy again came to have the sight of Sri Gosaiji. He supplicated, "Oh Maharaj, I am a poor Brahmin. Please let me become your disciple. Yesterday when I ate the Mahaprasad, I realized that you are the Lord himself. Therefore I have now come to take refuge in you." Knowing him to be a divine soul, Sri Gosaiji accepted him. Sri Gosaiji kept him close and taught him the ways and principles of the path. Taking Sri Gosaiji's permission, the boy then went to Sri Natadwara to live. He lived there by begging and would always listen to divine discourses whenever he could. Part 1. Through divine will, that Brahmin developed leprosy. Bhav Prakash. Why? Because in his form in the eternal Leela, she had been proud of her beauty, and therefore she had to suffer leprosy. Part 1 continued. He began to seriously repent and prayed to Sri Govardhanaji, "O great Maharaj, please remove my leprosy." Sri Thakurji then went to Sri Gosaiji and complained to him that the Vaishnava was making him unhappy. "I am not a doctor who can cure his diseases." Sri Gosaiji scolded the Vaishnava and told him to get some medicine. "Why do you keep asking Sri Govardhanaji to help you?" he replied. "O great Maharaj, I do not wish to take shelter elsewhere. Whom else should I tell other than the Lord? You are my Lord and Master." Sri Gosaiji told him, "In one particular village there is a Vaishnava who lives in the home of a prostitute. You should go there to see him. When you see him, your disease will be cured." The poor Brahmin took a little money with him and started out for that village. He arrived there and asked the way to the prostitute's house. When he got there, he saw that both of them were sitting on a sofa with their arms locked around each other. In front of their faces were very messily placed all sorts of things unfit for eating. The Brahmin approached the Vaishnava and greeted him with "Jai Sri Krishna." The Vaishnava asked him who he was and he told him his whole story. Hearing it, the Vaishnava straightway got up and began to dance most blissfully. He said, "Sri Gosaiji has remembered such a fallen one as myself." The poor Brahmin was very surprised by this and responded, "Yes, Sri Gosaiji truly does remember you." As he heard this, the life force exited from the top of his head and the leprosy disappeared from the Brahmin's body. Bhav Prakash. This story teaches that one should not look at a Vaishnava's behaviour and judge them through such external appearances. However, a soul may be, once they are accepted into the path of grace, the Lord never lets go of them. Sri Acharyaji and Sri Gosaiji are able to uplift them by the divine power of grace. The Lord grants them pangs of separation from him, and this alone can remove all their faults in a single second. How? For the Antargrihagata gopis, all their sins were destroyed simply through their intense longing for the Lord. These gopis were not able to go to meet Sri Thakurji in the forest after he called them with his flute and left their bodies there and then inside their own houses. In this same way, Sri Acharyaji enters the devotee's heart in the form of fire of intense separation from the Lord and can therefore destroy all their sins in a single second. In this way, Sri Acharyaji is most gracious and an ocean of compassion. Sri Gosaiji revealed this principle through the story of that Vaishnava. Part 1 continued. After this, the Brahmin who had leprosy began to lament. "It would have been better if that Vaishnava had kept his life rather than getting my getting cured of leprosy." Reproaching himself in this way, the Vaishnava returned home. He then went to Srinathji's temple. There he saw the other Vaishnava standing to have the holy sight of the Lord. He greeted him with the Lord's name and asked him what was going on. He replied, "Oh brother, let's go somewhere more private where we can speak of these happenings." They found somewhere suitable and began to discuss. Bhav Prakash. In the eternal Leela, this Vaishnava is a companion of Rupa Devi named Sri Devi. They shared the same type of loving mood. Sri Devi then told Rupa Devi the whole story from the Leela. So we will continue with part 1 tomorrow in our reading. For now, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Shri Vallabhadisha ki Jai. Sabhi Vaishnavon ko Jai Shri Krishna. Jai Shri Radhe.